welcome back to Clutch Talk Sports Radio Live. Now here's your host, Kevin Gray.
Good morning. Welcome to Clutch Talk Sports Radio Live on the Sports Radio America Network, available on TuneIn Radio and the TuneIn app. It is Monday, April 30th, 2018. Thank you to all those joining us live today on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio live show. If you want to get at me, you can tweet me at CT Sports Radio. That is our Twitter handle, facebook.com/Clutch Talk Sports Radio. And you can email me at ctsportsradio@gmail.com. The Sports Radio America phone line is 888-444-0570. That's 888-444-0570. That is the Sports Radio America phone line if you want to get at me anytime today on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio live show. If you don't catch anything live with us, you can download and subscribe to our free podcast available on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and on Spreaker at Spreaker.com. Just search the words Clutch Talk Sports Radio. And you can follow the Sports Radio America Network on Twitter at SRA Network and on Facebook at Facebook.com/Sports Radio America. A fantastic weekend across the sporting landscape, including the 2018 NFL Draft and also the conclusion, finally, of the first round of the NBA playoffs. And here to talk more with us today about the NBA playoffs, he is the host of the Jeff Fox Show and contributor to 640 The Hurricane Sports Radio, the hardest working man in the 305. His name is Jeff Fox. Jeff, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. You're too kind, my man. You are too kind. What's going on, man?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio live show. Jeff, we'll just jump right in. The Cleveland Cavaliers get a 105-101 win in game number 7 of their Eastern Conference first-round matchup against the Indiana Pacers, and LeBron James scores 45 points in that Game 7 win. Simple question, Jeff. Can LeBron keep this up for the Cleveland Cavaliers for them to have a shot to get out of the Eastern Conference this season?
I don't see how they do it. I really don't see how they do it. You know, I've been accused down here in South Florida of being a huge LeBron James, I don't know, I guess like a fanatic. And I am, to be quite honest with you. I've had arguments with several people in our industry about the greatness of this guy, you know, how I think that he just might be better than the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan. But even as great as LeBron James is, to ask one guy to do what he's doing now, and we're just talking about the first round, and I just think it's too tall a task to ask him to take this team out of the Eastern Conference. I don't see it happening for the Cavaliers this season. I think this is as bad a roster as I've seen since the Drew Gooden days. You know, Eric Snow and those boys back when they played the Spurs in his first final. This is as bad as it gets for the Cavaliers. LeBron's getting absolutely nothing from the rest of that team, man. It's just, you know, basically a testament to his greatness that they were able to survive the very game Indiana Pacers, I thought.
It's a team in the Cleveland Cavaliers who had a negative 40-point differential, the worst in NBA history for a team that won a 7-game series. LeBron James averaging over 40 points in each of their 4 wins against the Indiana Pacers. We're talking to Jeff Fox, host of the Jeff Fox Show and contributor to 640 The Hurricane Sports Radio, joining us today on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio live show, talking some NBA playoffs. The first round is officially over in the NBA playoffs. As you look back on the first round of these NBA playoffs so far, who was the best player that you saw, obviously other than LeBron James, in this first round that will give his team a push going into the second round matchups?
I would definitely have to say, wow, that's a good question. I'm really impressed with what's his name, Donovan Mitchell out there in Utah. The young man in Utah. Yeah, I think he carried the Jazz past OKC in that series. And I thought Russell Westbrook, who was much maligned, especially with the Thunder losing, is always blamed for everything. I mean, I thought Westbrook was spectacular, even in a losing effort. but definitely Mitchell from Utah impressed me a lot. I was really disappointed in the Portland Trailblazers and Damian Lillard. I had them penciled in as a team that could come out possibly and maybe pull an upset in two of the playoffs. It was not to be, obviously, as they were, really swept out. And another guy you can't overlook is a guy who I think right now is the second best player in the NBA, and that's Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans. But I think their run is about to end as well.
Anthony Davis, of course, sweeping the Portland Trailblazers, getting his first 4 playoff wins in succession over the Portland Trailblazers, have already lost their first game in their Western Conference semifinal matchup against the Golden State Warriors, who are looking to potentially get back Stephen Curry, as he has been dealing with a knee sprain, but he is looking to potentially be ready to go in game number 2
Ain't
against
fair,
New Orleans. Yeah.
It ain't fair, Kevin. It ain't fair. It ain't fair, man. How could that team add a Steph Curry? Kevin Durant, ruined the NBA for me when he joined the Golden State Warriors. I know I still haven't gotten over that. People have listened to my show forever tell me, Fox, get over it. It's done. He was a free agent. He did what he was supposed to do or what he wanted to do. But I think that changed the balance of power of the NBA for years to come. What have they won? 2 of the last 3?
That's
and
right.
It's going to be 3 out of the last 4 at the end of this year, because I don't see anybody beat Golden State. I don't see it.
Well, hopefully the Houston Rockets, they believe they may have something to say about that after they got a 110-96 win in their second round matchup over the Utah Jazz, with the Golden State Warriors obviously looking to put themselves in position to get back to the NBA Finals for a 4th consecutive year. We're talking to Jeff Fox, host of the Jeff Fox Show and contributor to 640 The Hurricane Sports Radio down in South Beach, talking some NBA playoffs with us today on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio Live Show. I'm your host, Kevin Gray, on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio Live Show. When we start to look at these second-round matchups, who is a player or a team that you're going to be especially paying attention to during these Western and Eastern Conference semifinals that we should be paying attention to, Jeff?
Definitely in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to keep my eye on Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers. I think the Sixers have a chance to be special this year. I got an up-close look at them when they were here in Miami to take on the Heat. And this guy, man, is, he had that monster game against the Heat. Well, it wasn't really a monster game, but he did have a triple-double. First time since Magic Johnson that a rookie did that in a playoff game. But I've been really impressed by the way they don't get rattled. The Miami Heat, a bunch of hard hat and lunch pail guys, and they will push you to the brink. And they did that. But every game, the Sixers came here and won both games in Miami, and they showed some mettle, down the stretch. I didn't expect that from such a young team. Ben Simmons definitely is as cool as it gets at the point guard position for the Sixers. It'll be interesting to see them against the Boston Celtics, another team I think that somehow managed to overachieve. And you got to give him a lot of credit, man, to the head coach, Brad Stevens. I just think he's been phenomenal as a coach. I don't know how he's doing it, but that's going to be a tough series. Throwback to the old classic days of the NBA, so I'm looking forward to that. But definitely in the Eastern Conference, I love Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers. Out west, out of the teams left, I want to keep my eye on Anthony Davis because, again, he's been dominant in the early round, the first round, and having to run into a buzzsaw like the Houston Rockets. We saw what happened yesterday. I'm curious to see how this series goes, if the Pelicans can steal one on the road or if they can hold down the fort with the home court. And Davis has been just sensational. I think he's really elevated his game and shown the rest of us open eyes around the league. Not that it's any surprise to anybody, but this guy is definitely the heir apparent to LeBron James when it comes to being the best player in basketball.
It's a guy in Anthony Davis during these 2018 NBA playoffs has averaged nearly 31 points and over 11 rebounds so far in these playoffs. And in the only game tonight, the process Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers travel to Boston in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals tonight at 7 o'clock Central Time as the Philadelphia 76ers, Ben Simmons and company, travel to take on the Boston Celtics. We're talking to Jeff Fox, host of the Jeff Fox Show and contributor to 640, the Hurricane Sports Radio in South Beach, talking some NBA playoffs with us. Speaking of South Beach, a team obviously that you cover intimately are the Miami Heat, who were bounced out of the first round by those aforementioned Philadelphia 76ers. When you look back on this team over this season and you look at the future for one Dwayne Wade, is this the end of the line for Dwayne Wade, or do you see him potentially coming back for a 2018-2019 NBA season when you look at this Heat team overall going into next season?
I think Dwayne Wade is done. I think he's going to hang it up. A lot of people out here don't feel that way. They feel like he's going to want to be a part of the rebuilding of this Heat team as they probably seek to acquire some superstar free agent and kind of be that, that pass the torch, so to speak, as the Heat organization goes on. But I was there after the loss to the Sixers, when the Sixers went up 3-1. And the question was asked during the post-game press conference of Wade, is this it? And he paused and hung his head and seemed to get a little emotional for a second. And he said he didn't want to answer that question right now. I think that told me what I needed to know. I don't think Dwayne Wade wants to go out like Patrick Ewing did in Seattle, or like the great Hakeem Olajuwon did in a Raptor uniform, where they basically were shells of themselves at the end. Dwayne Wade can still contribute. Yes, he can still come in 20 minutes a game and deliver like he did a couple of times in the Sixers series. But I think he wants to go ahead now and, ride off into the sunset and watch young Dwayne Wade Jr. or one of his kids. I think it's Zaire or one of them. One of his kids plays basketball. And I think he wants to enjoy watching that kid thrive. And he's mentioned him several times in post-game conferences. And enjoy his beautiful wife, Gabrielle Union. I mean, why would you want to go through, the grind of an NBA season once again when you could be kicking it with a sexy wifey like Gabrielle? I think Wade is done, though. As for the Heat, they've got a lot of things that they need to correct, man. One thing is Hassan Whiteside seems to be a bust at center, and they invested a lot of money in this guy. Eric Spoelstra, I think, is one of the top coaches in the NBA, because this Miami Heat team should not have been in the playoffs. They're just not that good. It is a phenomenal coaching job by Eric Spoelstra that he had this team with no superstar, none. You had a bunch of Tito Jacksons and a one aging superstar in Dwayne Wade, and somehow he managed to get them to the playoffs. So kudos to Eric Spoelstra. I don't know how he did it, but Pat Riley and that front office, they've got to get to work and bring some superstar down here to South Florida. We like a guy down here named Kawhi Leonard. We've got our eyes on him. How that happens, I don't know, but that's on our wish list right now. I can tell you now. As the season ended, Heat fans everywhere were hoping that there will be, no making up in San Antonio, and they would ship Kawhi, and whatever they got to do to get him down here to South Beach, we're ready to do it. Free lap dances for everybody.
Of course, Kawhi Leonard is potentially going to be signing a supermax contract worth $219 million potentially with the San Antonio Spurs. But, of course, South Beach is an attractive destination for anybody. And Dwayne Wade, of course, the king of Miami, and the 305 could potentially be riding off into the sunset. We're talking to Jeff Fox, host of the Jeff Fox Show and contributor to 640, the Hurricane Sports Radio. Jeff, tell the folks real quick where they can find you on your social media and your platform, sir.
No doubt. On Twitter and Instagram, it is the Jeff Fox Show. And on Twitter, it's at SBS Radio Network. And you can also find me on the Two Live Stews Radio.com and 640 The Hurricane, where you can read my blogs as well.
Well, Jeff, we sincerely appreciate the time with us, joining us today on the Clutch Tire Sports Radio Live Show. I like to call him the hardest working man in the 305. His name is Jeff Fox. Jeff, thank you so much for the time today. We'll have to do it again soon. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, my brother. Anytime, man. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. And again, that was Jeff Fox, host of the Jeff Fox Show and contributor to 640, the Hurricane Sports Radio. Jeff has been in the business for a long time, does a tremendous job covering all things NBA and, of course, the Miami Heat down in the 305 in South Beach. It should be a tremendous second round of the NBA playoffs as LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers get a 105-101 win over the Indiana Pacers to get themselves in to the second round of the NBA playoffs. This is the Clutch Talk Sports Radio live show on the Sports Radio America Network on TuneIn Radio and the TuneIn app. Thank you to all those joining us this morning on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio live show. When we come back, the NBA playoffs continue to move in full force. We will recap the first round of the NBA playoffs and get you ready for the Western and Eastern Conference semifinals next on the Clutch Talk Sports Radio live show. This is real Clutch Sports Talk, CT Sports Radio Live. We'll be right back.